Yo boys, what's going on? Willie P here. Super excited to bring you today's video, which is kind of going to be like a two-part video. So the first part of the video, we're going to discuss my updated Udyr guide. I recently hit Masters using a different Udyr build, so I'm going to share it with you guys today. And then the second part of the video, I'm going to discuss the 8.10 changes and how I think it's going to affect Udyr. So let's just go ahead and hop onto the first part of the video, which is my updated Udyr guide. So let's just go into runes real quick. So the runes will be Lethal Tempo with Triumph, Legend Tenacity, and Coup de Grace, with secondary tree being Celerity Water Walking. The reason you take Lethal Tempo over Press the Attack and Conqueror, yes, I just made a video explaining how broken Conqueror is on Udyr, but ever since the Lethal Tempo buffs, I think, Lethal Tempo just outshines every other rune. Conqueror is a scaling rune, whereas Lethal Tempo is strong early and late. So why would you just, why would you go for a late game rune when you can get the best of both worlds, right? So take Lethal Tempo. It allows you to 1v1 any melee champion in the game, and you can just skip buying Triforce, because a big reason for buying Triforce is you want to get that attack speed bonus. With Lethal Tempo, you don't have to buy Triforce, so it allows you to skip a very expensive item in your core build. So take Lethal Tempo with Triumph, Legend Tenacity. Make sure to take Legend Tenacity. With Lethal Tempo, you don't need Legend Alacrity because you already have the attack speed. And the Tenacity that you get from Legend Tenacity is just really, really good on Udyr. And then secondary tree is pretty standard. Celerity Water Walking just for the movement speed. You need it on Udyr because Udyr gets kited really, really, really hard. Now, as for the build, I'm just going to kind of like rapid fire the build on screen and then we'll discuss it. So the build will be, first purchase, you're going to want to start, even with the new jungle changes, you're going to want to start Hunter's Machete with Refillable Potion. And then you're going to go Tiamat Rush into Blue Smite with Brown Boots. And then after that, you're going to look to upgrade your Blue Smite into Warrior Enchant, finish your Boots, Black Cleaver, Thornmail, Adaptive Helm, Titanic Hydra. This is the full build, and I'll explain why this build works so well, specifically when combined with the rune Lethal Tempo. So this build gives you 40% CDR, which is always a plus on Udyr. It gives you a lot of tank stats. It covers both MR and armor. It makes you really, really healthy with the Black Cleaver Titanic Hydra. It allows you to shred tanks because since you have Lethal Tempo, you can shred tanks because you've got the attack speed and the shred from Black Cleaver, so you can shred tanks. You can one-shot most carries in the game since you go Warrior and Tiamat, because the raw attack damage from Warrior Tiamat allows you to blow up squishy targets, and it also allows you to, get that huge early game power spike that Tiamat and Warrior Spike gives you. And it also allows you to power farm your jungle, which is even more important in the 8.10 changes. Because, well, quite frankly, junglers are really underleveled in the early levels, so Tiamat will help you power farm. So this is like I said, this is a Tiamat build. Tiamat, Warrior, Black Cleaver. These are your three core items. Past that, you're kind of just going tanky. Do not upgrade Titanic Hydra until your last item. And honestly, if you ever reach 6 items, you can consider selling Tiamat and just getting another tank item. Because it just fits Udyr's playstyle so well. Because early game, you get Tiamat, Warrior for the early game damage because that's when Udyr's at his strongest. But as the game goes on, Udyr gets weaker and weaker. So it's better to start scaling into a tank. So that's why you start buying all the tank items later on. Now, as for the playstyle, I would cover, basically what I did before the patch hit was I'd do a 3-camp clear and then aggressively track the enemy jungler. But obviously, since the new patch changes, this won't work anymore. So I'm just going to tell you right now, the biggest thing I want to talk about when it comes to playstyle is you have to snowball the early game. This is not a mid-game build. This is not a late-game build. This is a early-game snowball build. So look to be fighting the enemy jungler. Look to be one-shotting the enemy support. Look to be one-shotting the enemy mid laner. You want to blow up squishies with this build. And then after you blow up the squishies, look to take first tower. And then after you do first tower, look to take Rift Herald. Rift Herald is honestly something I've been, kind of underestimating for a long time. Get an early Rift Herald because it can get you that second tower. And by the time this first 2 towers fall, that means you've controlled the early game, which means as you start to transition in the mid game, you're going to be able to take over the game. And hopefully your laners will have enough global gold to where they'll just start winning lanes automatically. So that is the playstyle with this build. Like I said, early game aggression is key. Track the enemy jungler. Be very aggressive. Be in his face. And, try and one-shot as many people as possible. Now, moving on here, I'm kind of going to move into the second part of the video where we're going to discuss the 8.10 changes and what I think about them. So I'm going to open this little conversation by saying For those of you that don't know, basically it takes a 4 camp clear to get level 3 now, or it takes a 3 camp clear and a scuttle to get level 3. And so what this means is river scuttles early game are really, really important. And junglers early game are going to be underleveled compared to the solo laners and on an equal level compared to bot lane. So now that we've got that out of the way, I'm just going to open this up by saying, quite frankly, this is the dumbest way to fix the jungle. I know what Riot is trying to do. They're trying to make, I don't know, they're trying to make jungle just more like less controlling of laners in the early game and just less, I don't know, less snowbally, I guess. I just don't even know. Like, Riot's just trying to make jungle have less impact in the early game. But how you do that is you make the jungle camps do more damage to the junglers. So that way they can't run around the map at full HP just looking to spam gank over and over, right? Or you make it to where jungle camps give slightly less XP. You don't make it to where jungle camps, like, if they had made it to where jungle camps, you know, made it to where you got to level 4 slower, sure. But taking away the level 3 just reduces a lot of clear paths for jungles. It just makes the gameplay very RNG based, very laners focused, and jungle is just going to be really weak. And this is a specific nerf to my playstyle, which is early game aggression. Now that we've kind of got the ranting out of the way, and like I said, I just hate this change. This is a dumb change. I don't know why Riot did this. Literally, we still have Camille and Irelia one-shotting top laners. We still have supports, you know, one-shotting enemy ADCs. We still have, you know, Kha'Zix running around the jungle just being batshit crazy. We still have Graves, for that matter, just still being broken as shit. Like, why didn't Riot target target nerf these champions rather than target nerfing the jungle as a whole? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different things Riot could have done. But I just don't know why they targeted jungle. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. So now that I got the fucking ranting out of the way, if you can tell I'm getting a little heated here, let's go ahead and talk about my clear path that I found today. I've played about 9 hours on stream today. I've tested it out just about every clear path under the sun. For Tiger Udyr, there are many different routes for Phoenix Udyr if you play Phoenix Udyr. I'm not going to touch on those because, quite frankly, Phoenix Udyr is still too weak to warrant playing. But for Tiger Udyr, this is the best path for Udyr, in my opinion, for Tiger Udyr. So what you're going to do is you're going to start blue buff. You're going to take Tiger level 1. So this is a Tiger Udyr build. You do Tiger level 1, then you take Bear level 2. You do your Grump. Make sure to cycle your passive. Passive is even more important now on Udyr since Hunter's Machete no longer gives attack speed, which, by the way, is another stupid change. Why did they nerf XP and the attack speed? That's just like 2 for 1. It really hurts Udyr, but regardless, enough ranting. Like I said, enough ranting. Settle down, Willie. You do blue, Grump, Scuttle. Look to either gank mid. If mid is not gankable, then go to your Wolves. And then after you do your Wolves, look to either go, after you do your Wolves or gank mid, do your red buff. That'll leave you at level 3. If you do your Wolves, you'll be at level 3.5. And then from here on out, look to go contest the second Scuttle if it isn't taken already. Or look to go gank top or bot, or depending on what side of the map you start on. And potentially find out where the enemy jungler is. A couple things I want to point out with this build, or this route rather, is make sure to tell your mid laner to push level 1. So that way you can secure the Scuttle and not have the risk of the enemy mid laner coming to collapse on you, level 1. And the other thing I want to make sure to do is ward the enemy red buff on the side you're starting. So since you're starting red or blue buff every game, make sure to ward the enemy red buff and figure them out. Or to figure out where the hell he's starting. I will say there is a ray of sunshine in all this. At level 7, the XP levels are actually above what they used to be. So if you can get a lead and get to level 7, you'll be able to snowball the game extremely hard. Because if you manage to win the early game, that means you're going to have control over the scuttles for the rest of the game. Which means you can get a full, 2-3 levels ahead of the enemy jungler. So, I don't know. It's really, really good for snowballing, but early game, you're going to be a lot weaker than the enemy laners. So, whatever you do, if you're going for a 1v1 on the enemy jungler, make sure your laners are ahead. Otherwise, the enemy laners are going to come collapse on you, and they're going to literally be 2 levels ahead of you, and you're going to die. Let me know what you think about these changes and these clear paths in the comment section below. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. Like I said, I think it's fucking stupid, but what do I know? What do I know? I'm just a Masters Udyr player. Riot should really not listen to me, and they should just, completely gut the jungle, because jungle's what's wrong with the meta, right? I don't know, boys. If you can't tell, that's sarcasm. But seriously, though, thank you so much for watching, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe.